Hi, today I'm joined with Paul Truscott, who is an absolute living legend in the local SEO space. Ranks a lot of Google business profiles, what used to be called Google My Business and GMBs. And today's topic is something that he's always kept under his wing, and it's about Geo Topicality. So, Paul, can you explain the importance of this for Google business profiles and local SEO?
Yep. So geotopicality, it's a very broad topic, but I'm going to be talking about two specific areas of this because it's useful to people who work in the local space. This is primarily to do with maps ranking, so not so much the websites, although a lot of this information is going to be housed on the website, so that very much comes into it. So the first thing to do with topicality, we're going to talk about the area that the business is located and how that affects or potentially can affect your rankings. So Google has an algorithm where they actually look at the area that you're located in and whether there's any geotopicality specifically located to the or associated with the area. So an easy example of this would be, say, Wall Street. So Wall Street or the City of London are known for finance, right? So if you're a financial company that's trying to rank, you're probably not trying to rank locally if you're a financial company, to be fair, but let's just use that analogy. If you were a small financial company that offered some kind of financial product and you were located on the other side of London, it's going to be harder for you to rank for those terms citywide than it would be for somebody located in central London or New York, for example. Or if it was commodities, it would be Chicago, the center of Chicago, right? So each location might be known for something. So to bring that on a more granular level and more sort of a level that might make sense to people that are actually operating real businesses, if we use the example of a car mechanic. So if you're a car mechanic and your workshop is located in an area where there's a lot of restaurants, you're probably going to find it harder to rank than a car mechanic who's located on an industrial estate. And that's because that location that you're in, its geotopicality is dining, it's hospitality. And so you don't fit with it. And so that can affect your ranking. So not that there's much you can do about that if you're located there other than move. Or is there? We'll talk about that because it's interesting how it
So what
works.
can be done? So let's use that analogy. I've got a car mechanic garage. I'm on the high street. I'm in the middle of a load of restaurants and bars. What I don't want to move. I'm happy with the
Yeah.
location, even though maybe parking and all the rest of it would be great and stuff like that. But what can be done to try to say, okay, I need to sort this geotopicality out?
Right. So if you offer any services where you go to the client, you could consider, now this is a big move, so it's not something I want people to rush out and do, but you could consider becoming a service area business. So this is where you hide your address. Right, now I know there'll be SEOs out there going, don't do this. Right, service area businesses don't rank as well. That's complete bunk. It's just they don't understand what's going on. So if you've got a business with an address and you're looking on maps, looking at one of the grid trackers, right, and your rankings are reasonably good in that place, but you're not getting any phone calls because you're in the wrong area, right? Or maybe you're not ranking that well because of the geotopicality of the area, but the bottom line is the same. You're not getting any phone calls, right? You could consider becoming an SAB if you qualify for it. You've got to be a business that actually does offer services where you go to the customer to qualify. But if you do that, what used to happen with Google was they would use your address, even if you've hidden it, they would use that address as your centroid. So all of your rankings will radiate from that address. That's not the case anymore, or at least not necessarily. It can still be, but it depends. So it's a bit nuanced. There's a number of signals that Google uses here. But essentially, when you hide your address, And this is why most SEOs, when they hide, if they've done experiments like this, I think actually Joy Hawkins did one, where you hide the address and then you check the rankings of the listing, and they've dropped. Well, the reason they've dropped is because the centroids moved. Right? What you typically see is that the map will become lopsided, for want of a better word. Like, say for example, normally you would see, let's say you're number one at your centroid, that would be in the middle of the map, and then your rankings will radiate outwards, and then you'd be red on the outside. When you delete the address and run the same scan, you'll often see that there might be a tiny bit of green to the far right or the far left of the grid. If that's the case, that's telling you your centroid has moved. Right, Google now thinks you're somewhere else, and what's happened is they assign you, I've called it a pseudo centroid. I don't know what the actual Google terminology for it is. They've never been public with this. And by the way, this happened around 2023, so it's a couple of years now.
So I've got a question for you on this. With regards to service-based businesses, what happens if, let's say, the car mechanic obviously can go out to someone's house and fix the car at their address. But what happens if it's an internet-based, let's say, like we do lead generation, or let's say we do SEO, and we can do it for any company there is in the UK, whether it's up in Aberdeen or down in London, or you're in the US, right, and you're covering all the different areas. But it always seems for me, if I put the address on there, is that centroids there, I can rank in that area, but obviously it's difficult to rank in other areas. Are you saying if I remove that, because I do site-wide, it could long-term, you could end up trying to rank in much wider area?
It's not so much that you're ranking in a wider area, but you're ranking in a different area. So let me give you a scenario. Let's say that you're offering, I don't know, let's pick a topic. Let's say you offer office cleaning, right? And you're located in one of the suburbs on the outskirts of Manchester. But all of your customers are in central Manchester. You don't rank there.
Yeah.
Because your rankings radiate from your address, right? What you can do now is you can change to an SAB. You make Manchester your main primary service area. Okay. There's a few techniques to doing that. We don't have time here to go into how you do that. But basically, you make Manchester your primary service area, and you make sure on your web page or web pages that you are optimized for Manchester, and you make it clear that Manchester Central, the central part of Manchester, is your main service area. You'll probably find too that the traffic you have had in the past, could even be the direct traffic to your website, doesn't matter, has come from the central part of the city. If it's come on mobile devices, obviously if it's on desktops they can't tell, but if it's a mobile device they know where the location of the person was that searched you. If your traffic's come from that place, Google will almost definitely reposition your pseudo centroid or virtual centroid, whatever you want to call it, to the city centre. So you'll now be, for all intents and purposes, located in the centre of Manchester, where all the customers are. So it's not necessarily that you'll rank further, but you're ranking in the right place where the people are that are searching, and it can make a huge difference. We actually did it on one. I don't do client work, but I did this just for someone, and moved their business from, well, didn't move the business, but they changed it to an SAB. They were in Florida, in the middle of nowhere, like alligator country. We moved their centroid essentially through the tricks that we did with Google. Well, not even tricks, but just things that we did to signal to Google that the business operated in this particular area. The city that he wanted to rank in was about 100 miles away, but we were able to do it. So like his rankings were good when he had his address showing, but they were good because there was no competition. There's no one there, so no phone calls. Green everywhere, but not a phone call. So when we moved him to the city, his rankings had dropped, He wasn't ranking as well, but he started getting phone calls because he was ranking in the right place. So your rankings can sometimes drop when you change from a address to an SAB. They potentially could go up, but they're changing in response to the new location. They're not changing because you've hidden the address. And I think most people don't understand that. Even guys that are supposed to be maps experts, I don't hear them talking about it. So either they know it and they just don't want to talk. It's possible. Or like in Joy Hawkins' case, she did a public exercise where she proved, in inverted commas, that hiding the address affects the rankings, and that's not really how it works. So,
Yeah.
but it's the whole thing of geotopicality, very interesting topic, and people that were ranking locally definitely need to get their heads around it because it makes a big difference to your rankings.
Yeah, for sure. So anyone who's watching this, if you're into local SEO, Google Business Profiles, GMBs, whatever you want to call it, then make certain you're looking at Geo Topicality. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on, Paul Truscott, and
Same here,
hope to have
James.
you on again soon.
Thank you,
Thank
bud.
you very much. Cheers.